All right, welcome everybody. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Happy Friday. It is Good Friday, and it is what it is. Sunday will be here soon, and so we can be thankful for that. So, all right. So, hey, listen, just wanted to pop on and welcome everybody from Patreon. You guys get to see me live, and we're going to get right into it. And so we have currently about 217 aircraft up across the U.S. and of course we're going to get out over the rest of the continent as well, but wanted to just point out a couple quick observations. Now I will tell you this is kind of an interesting thing, but we've got a lot of electronic suite aircraft up right now over the United States, which I find very interesting. So right now we've got a B703, and if you guys aren't familiar with that, that's an E8 Joint Star. That's a surveillance aircraft. Okay. Command and control, so it's doing battlefield assessment kind of stuff. And that one is actually rolling over here in the southeast. Looks like it just took off out of Warner Robins, and it did a little bit of a turnaround here just down in the south of Louisiana. And then, of course, now we go over here. Now these are the ones that I really got to watch because these are spy planes, okay? And these things are highly capable, and they can produce real-time data. And we had 5 of them up a minute ago. Now let's see if it jumps back in, but maybe because I popped out. Yeah, we still have 5 up. But you can see, let me get them up here on my screen here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But right here, got 5 R135s up, and those are basically real-time surveillance. So those guys can do everything from camera, from pictures to video to tracing, tapping phone. I mean, that thing does all kinds of stuff. Capabilities are pretty incredible. And so when that thing is overhead, there are no secrets. Okay. I'll just put it that way. If they want to look and pry into something, they can certainly do it. And it's a pretty, think of it like an airborne Google in terms of invasion. Okay. All right. So there's one, it looks like it's over. Let's see. Where did you go here? That's up here, up over Michigan, Detroit, just under, pretty close to Oscoda, actually, kind of in that general area. And then as we get in, where the other ones go here, we've got another one over central U.S. And we have another one, and don't go away on me here, that just took off out of central U.S. It's headed westbound. Looks like it's headed over, there's Cheyenne here. So let's see where our other one went here, headed southbound. So these guys are actually almost at the 4 corners, if you know what I'm saying. You got one up here in the upper right quadrant. You've got one headed westbound. You've got one headed down here. It looks like between Oklahoma and Texas, going to be out here. And it's got pretty good range too, okay? And then another one headed northbound. So again, to see 5 of those up at one time, that's a first for me. And that's knowing what the capability is of that. Those are definitely spy planes, okay? And then, of course, you got this 703 that's down here too, which is also a reconnaissance aircraft. Doesn't have quite the capabilities as the R135, but this is definitely has the ability to map things out and give a very, very good account of ground operations and even water operations for that matter. So, okay, so with that, I will tell you, I'm not seeing the P8s up today. As you guys can see, really no P8s, P3s, anything on the East Coast. Now, I'm not sure if what we had out here was actually a manned submarine. I know we had a couple that were, Soviet, black holes, I guess is what they call them, where they had disappeared and they were looking for them in the Mediterranean. But given the activity that was going on along our eastern seaboard, I would say they suspected one was out here. But they also have some unmanned stuff that is very capable that they'll put out, and it can do kind of like our R135s. I mean, it can do a lot of spying and surveillance and stuff along those water lines. And so that's kind of the wave of the future. Think of them as a drone submarine, okay? All right. So that said, let's get over and look at Flashbangs' calendar. And I will tell you, as I'm looking, it looks to me, now this, of course, he's got a rough schedule today. It looks like he's kicking off about 9:30, wrapping up about 10. And it looks to me, now this is kind of an interesting, it's an in-town pool call time final gather at 10:40 a.m. at the north doors of the Palm Room. I don't know what that's all about. Almost like they're seeing them off or something. Kind of a strange thing. But I will point out yesterday that if you'll notice again, president, vice president, vice president. Down here at the bottom, president holds cabinet meeting with the vice president also attends. Okay. Again, full day, starting at 10, wrapping up at 1:15. Okay. So these folks are definitely, he is being shadowed like nobody's business. Now, going on the TFRs, I'm going to pull these up real fast so you guys can see them. Let's see. These are the active fires across the United States. Just kind of give you guys a general idea. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And I think we've got a major drought situation going on. So these fires are probably going to increase as we go on. But these are active fires, which is pretty nuts. Got a little earthquake out here, but you can see Florida seems to be really popping. And these are all, I don't know, bushfires, brush fires, whatever. One thing I will point out too, I did not realize this because I don't get down there very often, but I do have people that follow me in Australia, which is kind of cool. But you get down here, Australia actually reports fires. And so I just want to show you guys. Now, if you've been following me on my Monkey Minutes, you know that New South Wales and this area has been, and like, they're having all kinds of things going on down here in Australia. Now, this is your more highly populated areas, but you can see the fires that are going on down here right now. Pretty incredible. I don't know what this is. That may be gale warnings or something. I'm not really sure. But I will tell you, they've had some record flooding along with fires, all in this same general area. And they've also had an invasion of these mice. They were saying they had 7,500 mice per acre out here in some of the farm areas. And so that's a record. And so they haven't seen that ever. And so they do say they come around about every 7 years, but not to that level. Okay. All right. So let me take these fires off. I just want to point those out. We're going to talk a little bit about volcanoes too, because I think it's important to understand that impact on aviation. Okay. So if we go look at the active TFRs, we still have this one down here in Puerto Rico. That's been there. That's permanent. That is actually a bombing area, I think, or they do live ordnance stuff. This is going to be your space operations right here down in Cape Canaveral. And that one has actually changed a little bit. It was before, actually take that back. That's an air show. Normally we have one that kind of pops out here off of this coast in Cape Canaveral. So it looks like at Patrick Air Force Base, they're having an air show this weekend. So hopefully they get good weather. That's Orlando, Disney. All right. Then we get up here to Senior Living Center. And I will tell you, this is permanent. All right. That's a brown zone. And then this, I believe, is Camp David. And that's where I think he's headed off to the bunker at Camp David. Okay. And so that is what we have going on here on the East Coast. Over here, we still have the active TFRs through, I think, the end of April, relative to this. These are going to be your FEMA sites for immigration. Okay. And then here we have more down in Kansas City. I think these are the same things we were looking at before, but I got to get away from the turbulence. These lines you see running, that's wind. Actually, let me turn that wind thing off because that's not really important for us to look at. So, all right. And let me see what this TFR is here. It doesn't want to show me. Let me get in a little closer, see what we got going on. TFR going to be hazards. Looks like they're pipeline hazards, so that's related to the natural gas probably. And same thing here, that looks to be pipeline related. So, okay, so those are just going to be, that's where they actually, I think they bleed off the pipes or something and emit a little bit of gas now. And these were also hazards. Those were there from last time we checked. And let me see if we got anything else. Still have the one up here for the George Floyd trial going on. And these all seem to be, looks like we had a little earthquake out here, 4.6 magnitude. So everything else is kind of normal. I don't see anything that is new in terms of this. This one right here, that I think is a security, that's a hazards. And not really sure what that ties to, but that's a fire. Okay, so there's a fire down here. That's what that is. Okay. All right, and so there we have the TFRs. All right, let me back out of this so you guys can see. Now, I was going to tell you there are a lot of volcanoes going on right now, and that can impact air travel quite a bit, and especially with the amount. And I just want to show you. I can tell you from a guy that's been tracking volcanic activity for probably the last 10 years, heavy duty. Like, I really watch it. I wouldn't say I'm at the Dutch sense level, but I certainly have been monitoring. And I can tell you when I first started out my research, volcanic activity was at about, you would get like 4 or 5 a year if you went back about 25 years. There was not a lot of stuff going on that would cause the disruptions that we have today, okay? And over the last 10 years, it's kind of started to creep up, and we've seen actually an increase to about a month is about 18 a month is about normal, okay, in terms of active volcanoes. And so I see it go up to about 22 on occasion, all right? But check this out. 45 active volcanoes right now around the planet. 45. This is insane. I've never in my life seen it this high. These are ones that are continuing to spew, and you can see that. I mean, that's the list of them right there. It's pretty impressive. But when those go, they start to emit ash into the atmosphere. And for aircraft, that's a pretty dangerous thing, because if you're flying, especially at night, and you can't see, and it could come across as a cloud, okay, and you're flying through it, that is like getting sand going into the inlet of an engine, and it'll tear up an engine. If you hit heavy enough ash, you could actually have a flame out, okay? So it's pretty big impact. And these things get up to, 40, 50,000 feet into the air. They emit this ash. And so you really want to avoid it. And so, but the ones right now that are really popping is you got Fuego in Guatemala. You've got this other Ravenna Torador in Ecuador. Pacaya in Guatemala that one is actually looking a lot like a Hawaiian volcano. It's got lava spewing down into the local villages and starting to destroy a lot of things, moving about 160 feet a day. And then Ecuador. So this whole Central America side is volcanic is just going crazy. So these are all really related to Central America. A little bit here in Mexico. You can see that's another one. And these actually will give you ash alerts, and these are for pilots, so they know as they get into those general areas. But you can see Colombia's got some ash alerts going, Nicaragua, Ecuador, and so that's just over the last I think 15 days. And so, but these are continued. You can see these are still on April 2nd. So definitely something you have to keep an eye on. And as that ash starts to come up, especially with Iceland, you cannot get across. You have to go further north to get over the top of this stuff, right? So if you start having ash that spews here and it goes this direction over Europe, you can't get flights in and out, okay? And so sometimes it'll shut down your flights. So, okay. That said, let's get over to Guantanamo Bay, aka the Spa, and see what we've got going on. Now, looks to me right now, this is a normal Friday. We've got one inbound, one outbound. This is going to be contractor flights. Probably going to be a little slow because it is Easter weekend, all right, or Resurrection weekend as I call it, because Easter is pagan. But you can see, looks like we're starting to see the normal rhythm of Charleston flights going in and out. Jacksonville, those are going to be your Jags, and same thing here. And so looks like everything is normal. That was the only one which was a med flight, and which was a Phoenix Air coming out of Cartersville, and that was last Wednesday, okay? All right, now over to, this is gonna be XPL Honduras, and it looks to me like we've just got Fort Benning, so that's gonna be probably a troop rotation if I had to guess. And Dover, coming out of Dover, that could be supply run. I don't really see them come out of Dover and Lawson. That's two strange locations for them to roll out of inbound, but they are Reach, which are transports, so probably C-17s. And just looking at the exfil, these look like they returned back. They went to Charleston, so that's kind of a normal exfil route, which we would expect, okay? Because I think Charleston's the new supply chain hub for for the military. So, okay, over to Diego Garcia. This is going to be Camp Justice. This is one of our prison locations, and it looks like the board is pretty much clear. The only thing I'm ever seeing coming in and out, and that's Saturday, this past Saturday, are medic flights. For some reason, they have a lot of medic flights. It may be just because it's a remote island location. People are getting sick, and they're having to take them to a nearby hospital, okay? And so that may be the only thing. But remember, we see the same kind of stuff happening over on at Guantanamo Bay as well, all right? Okay, let's go to our birds, our agency birds, and start to see where these guys are heading. So this one right now is heading out of White Plains, New York, over to West Palm, Florida. It's actually airborne. That's going to be our N312FU. That's your Maxwell bird, okay? Now, I'm pretty confident this White Plains down to West Palm is going to be one of our contractors, okay? Just based on previous comms, okay? So there it is, actually airborne, all right? Now, if we look at where this thing has been since our last get-together, which was Tuesday. So this thing has been to Houston. It's been to Peachtree DeKalb in Atlanta, Georgia. Been over here to Dallas Love Field. Been to Massachusetts. This thing's kind of been all over the country and then up to White Plains. So again, we'll keep our eye on these guys. Okay. Now, this is going to be one of our No Justice aircraft. This is N721AL. Now, you guys will see that looks to be a maintenance flight. Typically just popped up, do a couple loops around and come back down. So that's probably a maintenance check flight if I had to guess. Last time it flew, it was yesterday, and it just did that, basically a round robin. And so I'm not seeing, since the Colorado thing happened, they haven't really been out anywhere, okay? Over to, this is our Del Rio. So this is one we're starting to watch too, just because I like to see the activity going on down here in Texas. But this is today at 5:51 a.m. And this is going to be one of your Texas DOT public safety. So this is your state troopers, so to speak. All right. And so it looks like they are rolling out of here. Now, this is an Air Force Base, I believe, right here. Laughlin, I think, is the Air Force Base. And somewhere right in here are 250,000 acres owned by the Chinese. Okay. And so these guys typically will run, they're looking for people, probably, people trying to jump the fence and get across the border. And so, but there you have it. So been pretty active. So, okay. Let's go over to the Kalita birds. Now, we did have one just a minute ago and it dropped off. It basically flew out of, well, let me just go double check here real fast. But it was actually active, and it flew down to Sao Paulo, Brazil. And so it is already landed, I guess, and off our board. So I can't show you. But that's where it went. All right, Miami to Sao Paulo, I think. And so here's our M331CK. This is another Kalita bird. Okay. And one thing I will point out is that it is starting to make regular runs between, as you can see, just from Tuesday, it was in El Paso, down here to Laredo, Texas. I think what we're seeing are them transporting immigrants into these other cities around the country. So starting to process them. I will tell you, I had a close friend of mine that just flew down to Houston, and he said that he was in the airport, and in the airport were a sea of immigrants with little white packets that had cash in them and their gate assignments. And so evidently they've been bringing them across the border, taking them to the airports, and then putting them on flights and sending them across the country. And so they said lots of women and children. So just a data point, but looks to me like our administration is basically pumping these people into our country at breakneck speed. So I get it. They want a better place to live, but there is a process, and we've got to be able to follow that, or else we really don't have a country, right? It's just going to be one big hot mess. So, okay. This is Jenna 622. It's going to be your Attorney General, and it looks like he's coming out of Palm Springs, headed eastbound. I imagine he's heading back into the brown zone, and so that is his latest. But that's all he's done pretty much is since the last time we spoke, is head from the Brown Zone over to Palm Springs and then a return flight. So, okay. Now over to our sniffer. This is going to be our helo that you can see has been doing a little bit of track work. Okay, came out of the Brown Zone here, flew down. It looks like he was just outside of the weather. And let's see, let me get in a little closer here. But took off out of the Brown Zone. Andrews went to Newport News, Virginia, and then back to that location. But this wasn't just like a regular little flight where they're, just flying and doing a high level surveillance. This thing is sniffing. And so if you look at the green line, which is the important part, you can see all the altitude adjustments. Okay. And that's because he's taking different samples throughout. All right. So definitely are keeping their eye. Notice it's down here around this port area, like inbound. All right. I think one of the biggest threats are coming inbound in here and coming inbound in here and getting up close, because you get all the way up into here and you're right there next to the White House. Okay. So very big threat. All right. Sorry, did I say White House? I'm at Senior Living Center. Okay. All right. It's going to be our Phoenix Air. This one's currently scheduled. Looks like it's going out of San Juan, Puerto Rico down to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Same thing. Remember, I just had a Kalita flight that was headed that same direction. And so now it looks like we've got a secondary. These are the Phoenix birds. So I don't know what they've got going on down here. But very interesting. We'll have to keep our eye on these guys. And looks like they're just pre-staged. So they went from Cartersville, which is their base operations, to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and then heading down here to Sao Paulo. Okay. Next is our N-173PA. This is our other agency bird. Looks like it is getting ready to roll out of Greece. Now, I'll tell you, I was looking at it from the flight standpoint. It has gone from Bangor, Maine to Washington. Then it took somebody from Washington over to Terra Sierra. Now, remember, that's one of our prison islands. But I will tell you my guess, because of where this thing went. You can see it was only on ground at Terra Sierra about 30 minutes. And the distance between DC and this location in Greece is about 5,100 plus miles. That's a little bit out of the range of this aircraft from a fuel capacity standpoint. And so that plane can fly about 3,400 miles on a tank of gas. And so more than likely that was going to be a fuel stop. It's a little over halfway, but that's probably a fuel stop. And then it got to here. And now I don't know where it's going yet, but we'll watch it and report on it next time. Okay. All right. Now these are all of our Atlas birds that are currently up. And I want to just show you, it's been pretty heavy activity here over the Pacific. I don't know what they've got going on. You can see this one flying that northern arch. And these seem to be coming back. U.S. is super duper busy. I've never seen, honestly, the amount of traffic across the U.S. that I see right now. This is quite a bit. Very, very active. Okay. And then we've got one that's coming back from Europe. And I don't know where that one came out of, but let's take a quick look. So these are big 747, or actually that's a 767-300. So that's what they call an ETOPS, extended range ETOPS aircraft. ETOPS is engines turn or people swim. And it's coming out of Frankfurt, okay, which is one of their hubs, going to Portsmouth. Okay, so that said, let's break in. I want to just kind of bump over something just to make sure you guys get... Now, I did talk about this over on Patreon, but I want to make sure that the other folks that are going to see this on YouTube understand it, because this disinformation campaign is strong, folks, and I mean strong. And so I want to point out, we were talking, somebody who's been posting that hospital ship was seen, U.S. hospital ship was seen at the Suez Canal, and they were taking people off of, this evergreen boat, human trafficking stuff, and putting them on the hospital ship, and just all this nonsense. Okay. And I just want to show you why. There are only 2 medical hospital ships in our fleet. Okay. One is the USS Mercy and the USS Comfort. Those are the 2. One's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. So that said, this is going to be the U.S. Naval Ship Comfort, all right? And it is sitting, as you guys can see here, it's in Norfolk, Virginia, and it's been there. It's actually moored, so it's parked, okay? So that one you can rule out. It has definitely not been over at the Suez Canal because there ain't no way it could get there and back that fast. And that's live, okay? That's 4 minutes ago. It's still sitting there. And so just want to point that one out. So that one rules out. USS Comfort is not at the Suez Canal. Now, here is your other one. This is going to be your U.S. Naval Ship Mercy. All right, that's your other one. And this one is actually currently down off the San Diego coast. Okay, now yesterday I tracked it. I want to say it was up in Portland, but it looks to be sitting in San Diego now. Okay, and so when I say yesterday, that'd be kind of fast getting down there. I don't know. Maybe it was in San Diego the whole time, and I said Portland. So anyway, nonetheless, it's sitting here in San Diego. It is looks like it doesn't have really. It's moving, but it is not really moving far. It's headed southbound. Okay, but nonetheless, it's not at the Suez Canal. All right. So just a quick debunk. I want to make sure people aren't taking the bait for more of this disinformation, okay? And so the only two we have now, I did have somebody that's in the Navy that talks about some of the other boats that have the capability of handling medical personnel and things like that, right? Because they are set up. I mean, if you go into a wartime situation and you get people that are being injured in battle, they have to have the ability to exfil them out, and so they have boats that can house, temporary hospital stuff, okay? And they have trauma centers and things like that are for that very thing for the Navy, okay? And so, but it's not a hospital ship, all right? And so as you guys can see, this thing is pretty obvious when you see what the ship looks like, okay? It's a big white, got the big medical cross on the side of it. I mean, ain't no mistaking it, all right? So there you have it. That is just kind of keeping everybody level set. All right. Now, if we go down here to Guantanamo Bay, I just want to do a quick kick around the port. Looks like we've got a big container ship in there called the Ocean Giant, which is a U.S.-based container ship. We've got a Coast Guard Diligence, which is currently in port. U.S. Government Vessel 82, which is down there out of Jacksonville. I don't know where this one's out of. That could be Puerto Rico. Doesn't show. And then these are the others that are kind of still on the board. Coast Guard, that I think is a tug if I'm not mistaken. And then that's another Coast Guard. You can see the CG right there. So, okay, back to our main map. All right. And so US wise, looks like it's a pretty quiet day actually, other than the fact that we've got all these reconnaissance heading coast to coast and Flashbang headed to the bunker. So looks like he's going to be doing a half a day, and then we'll see everybody bug out. So let me just double check, make sure as I'm looking for aircraft over here on our side. Got a lot of heavies up. These C-17s, a lot of C-130s and C-130Js. Those are all just heavy movers, okay? So I'm beginning to think too that the heavy movers that we saw going into the big cities, if it was not vaccine related, which it may have been, it could have actually been immigration related, and they may have been expecting a big push, and so they're using some boots on the ground to help process that stuff. So that could be what we're seeing as well. So, all right. So the only flight, I've got a SAM 113. Looks like it's exfilling out of the brown zone. No telling who's on that. That could be Pelosi, could be anybody. And then this Venus 93 is also, you guys can see those are your blue and whites. And that one is actually down here. Looks like it just took off out of Charleston. So no telling. All right. That is all I've got for today. So we're going to basically, before I do that, let me go look at Europe. I keep forgetting to spin around. I keep looking at the U.S. and I lose focus on everything else. And so we do want to just take a quick look at that. And I do want to look over at China too. It's still pretty early time-wise over there, so I don't know if we're going to get a lot. But Let's see here. In 568, PA departed. Joint Base Andrews landed at Wheeler Sac. Yeah, that's a Phoenix bird. Absolutely, Rachel. 100%. And I'll key it in and take a look at it here in just 1 second, okay? Let's see here. All right, so it looks like we got some C-130s up. That's going to be a U.S. bird. And that's going to be, let's see here. That's a UK. I think that's probably an air refueler, but it's an Airbus. And then we've got French. Let's see, C-130 headed south. We've got another little SAM flight coming out of the UK. And looks like it's headed down. Let's see. It's descending now, so it's probably headed into Crete or into Greece, somewhere, Cyprus, I mean, sorry. Somewhere down there, I would imagine. And got a little Eurofighter up over the Israeli area. I remember Suez Canal is going to be right in here. And this looks to be a UK bird that is also taken off out of Cyprus. There's our Cyprus I was talking about. And, okay. Don't see too many Eurofighters over that general area. That's kind of interesting. And it looks like we've got some C-17 taken off out of Kuwait and a little C-130 action. So it's kind of a little quiet right now over Middle East. Of course, they are pretty far ahead of us, so they're kind of wrapping up their day. And let me see. I'm just kind of let the screen marinate for a minute, see if we've got any activity going on. This area is kind of our watch area over Taiwan and China. All right, so they keep flying into the airspace over Taiwan. China does, and so they're expecting some type of crazy invasion going on in the near future because there's really nobody in the world to stop them right now. Okay, and so they know that, and so they're probably putting the plans into play if they don't already have them on the table. So. All right, let me see. We got a little bird down here in Africa. Looks like a UK bird. It looks to be landing. So, all right, folks, I think that's it. As we kind of kick the tires around, I don't see anything else other than that electronic suite that's really kind of bothersome. And the fact that we got so many up doing surveillance, that's definitely interesting to say the least. So, no telling. I don't trust this administration as far as I can throw them. So when I see that kind of stuff and that many of them up, it does make you a little bit uncomfortable. So, oh yeah, let's see here. I was going to go look at in 568 PA. So let me get over here to this one. Let me go use this. In 568 PA. All right. So coming out of Fort Drum, New York, headed into Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Little Learjet. And let's see, that's one I probably need to add. So this has come out of Andrews, went to Fort Drum. Then it looks like it's going to bounce back. It's going to go to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and then it's going back to home base. And so I need to keep an eye on that one. I'm not very familiar with that aircraft. They seem to have a lot larger fleet than I actually had expected. I only thought they had 4 or 5 aircraft, and it seems like every time I look, there's another Phoenix Air going. So they certainly have a lot of aircraft. So, okay. Let's see, just to look at the quick chat here to see if there's anything going on. SAM flights. So SAM is basically a special air mission is what that's called. It's an acronym for that. And so SAM's kind of like, so they'll fly, you could actually have the president so you could have Flashbang or Bob Marley on an aircraft and it would still be called, they could call it a SAM flight. It's just basically a VIP, high priority, flight. Okay, and so they go by SAM. Sometimes you'll see them go by several other different things like SPARs, and there's just a bunch of different stuff that they can call them. But each military service has its own set. Okay, so SAM is the Air Force. All right. Okay. So I think that is it. So you guys, listen, be safe this weekend. Please enjoy yourself. It is Resurrection Weekend, and we have a lot to be thankful for. And so time is short, and stay frosty. That's it. God bless. Monkey out.